Okay, everyone, this is your acting Sergeant at Arms, and it is my pleasure to declare this meeting open. This is the second pre-charter meeting of Quantum Leap Toastmasters Club, and it is an advanced club, and the meetings take place as per the usual method of advanced meetings, but our meetings also have something unique. In fact, several unique aspects which you will learn as we go along the agenda. So with that, I hand over the charge to our honorable president, who is a legend in his own right, and his the shock waves of his huge actions and contributions to the Toastmasters world can still be felt even today. So everybody, please put your hands together for our president, DTM Sheikh. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Acting Sergeant at Arms and actual Vice President Education of Quantum Leap Toastmasters Club. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening as per your place. Peace on you. Today we are having here, witnessing our second meeting of Quantum Leap. Before officially we are going to charter. And I'm sure the next meeting we are going to conduct after complete chartering. And that is going to be happen because of all of you, your commitment, your dedications, and your support to the community and fraternity of Toastmasters. So theme of the day, do we have the secretary over here? Secretary of the club. Toastmaster Saeed.
No, sir, he couldn't join today.
He is not joining today. Otherwise, I will ask him to read the minutes of meeting first, and we can have adopt. Toastmasters, what's come in your mind? Hyperinflations. In my mind, there is a combination of two words. One is a hyper, and the second is inflation. I'm going to talk about only the hyper word. So we should have to be contain ourselves in each and every situation, not to be hyper. Everything is going to take place as per their required timing. So just be patient. Things are moving as per their time and the requirement. And be happy. If you are happy, you are going to control each and every situations you come across. If your inner self is not happy, then you are hyper. So avoid and kill the hyperness with your happiness. The more you are happy, the more surrounding you have peaceful. By having said this, we are going to have this second meeting today. And let's go directly to the business education session. Do we have any business, any questions or the query from the members? So we can address first before we are moving toward the business session, education session. Do you have any questions, any queries? I think everything is good. Let's move to the education session, and to deal and to lead the business session. He is a youngest man in our group. And I'm sure he is the happiest man too. He's not a hyper one. He is always contributor His contribution always be there whenever you are going to ask for anything and everything. He is the one who first raise his hand and offer his services. Please put your hands together, welcoming our younger Toastmaster. And he is, by the way, he's my protege also. Put your hand together, welcoming Toastmaster Osama Ali as a Toastmaster of the day. Over to Toastmaster Osama Ali.
Thank you so much, DTM sir, for introducing me so nicely. And hello, Toastmasters and guests. Today's theme is amazing, and our meeting is going to be very exciting as we are having a diverse community from all over the world, from Pakistan, from India, and from the United States. It's going to be an exciting meeting, by the way. So now coming towards our role players first, and I will be calling the role players. Our first role player is the language evaluator, and her name is Rehma Unib. I would like to call her, please, and she would be introducing her role. Is Rehma available with us?
I'm here.
I think
I'm here.
yes, she is here.
Yes, please introduce your role, Rehma.
Sure. So as language evaluator, I will be looking out for usage of language, and that can be good usage, usage of idioms, metaphors, or vocabulary, and give an overall report of things that can be improved and things that were done well, so that we can all become better communicators.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Rehma. You introduced your role really well. And our next role player is the most important role of every situation of life. You know, time is very important in every person's life. If we are not working in favor of time, then we can't succeed in life. So our role player for today's meeting as a timer is Toastmaster Imran Rana. Please, Imran Rana, come on stage and introduce your role.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. I'm sure I'm audible and visible.
Yes.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters and guests, as a timer, my role is to make sure that the meeting proceedings are on time. Okay, for prepared speeches, the timings will go on like that, means for 5 to 7 minute speech. At 5 minutes, my virtual background will turn into green. At 6 minutes, my virtual background will turn into yellow. And at 7 minutes, my virtual background will turn into red. This means that the speaker has to wrap up his speech, because after 30 seconds, there will be no signals for disqualification. He will be disqualified if there are votings. For 4 to 6 minutes, signals will goes like at 4 minutes, green, 5 minutes, yellow, and at 6 minutes, red. So at red, this means that the speaker has to wrap up his speech, because after 30 seconds, he will be disqualified for voting. For table topics, the speaker has to speak for about 1 minute to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. At 1 minute, the virtual background will turn into green. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, the virtual background will turn into yellow. At 2 minutes, now the virtual background is red. This means he or she has only 30 seconds to wrap up his speech for qualifying. Otherwise, he or she will be disqualified, as there will be no signals for disqualification. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Imran Rana. I hope everyone is has recognized that there are three colors: green, yellow, and red. You should remember them. At the red, when the red is displayed, you must be aware that there are 30 seconds to wrap up your speech. So coming towards our last role, our last Toastmaster is Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid, and he's performing the role of our counter, a very competitive Toastmaster and a very enthusiastic person. Toastmaster Talha, please come on stage and introduce your role.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. My role today is to count the filler words that we use in our conversation. The words can be so, and, or any other word. My job will be to count how many times these filler words are used by everyone and to give my report at the end of the meeting during the journal evaluation session. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
So, fellow Toastmasters, our role players have introduced themselves very well. Now we are going towards the next session of the meeting, and it's a very, very exciting session. And this session is going to be conducted by a very passionate, very enthusiastic Toastmaster. He is a mechatronics engineer by profession, and apart from that, he lives in Bahrain right now, and right now he's in Pakistan. He's doing remote job these days. A very passionate and a very enthusiastic Toastmaster. With a huge round of applause, please help me welcome Toastmaster Khurram Saeed Chishti.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Would you please allow me being a co-host so I can share my screen?
Sure.
Just a second, Toastmaster Khurram.
Yeah, please let me know when you can see my screen.
Check programs for drilling.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, let me start then. Hello, Toastmasters. Coding programming. Now that's something, very geeky. We learn in universities, the high brain people are doing the coding and programming. And now we are talking about coding and programming for the toddlers. But let's see first what we see around us today. We see a car with one motor and completely covering everything other than the engine, and everything is going out and is running on a programming, a Tesla car. We can see our robots, they are very intelligent. Our kids are playing with them and they are responding to the feelings. And by the way, even these days you can have a girlfriend named Alice. She's an artificial intelligence girlfriend, right? So the world is changing today. So I know that you don't know anything about coding and programming. So today I'm going to talk about one website named as code.org. Now, this will enable you to understand that what all about the coding and programming. Now, for your kids in specific. Now, just for the case, I have kept some screenshots and I can take you through the website if the time allows. If you go on that website, the code.org has been made just for the kids who are interested in early programming and learning about how the codes work. You can see that there are 60 million students registered on code.org. There are more than 169 million of projects that has been done on this platform, and millions of coding line has been done. Now you will say that my kid is small and maybe he don't know what to do about this coding and programming. Just let me show you that in that particular platform, you can see the programming code starting from grade kindergarten, grade K to grade 5 up to grade 12. So you can be as much big and as much small to start the programming. And even though if you just want to have a taste before starting any program, you can have an hour of code, which is a programming lesson for 1 hour, and they are giving a very luxurious certificates, so that makes you more interactive, and you feel very accomplished to that I need to do it more. Now if I move forward, that Once you are doing all this coding and programming, and you did lot of courses, and it's more of a graphical programming. So it's not you're not writing a backend code. Your kids are understanding the logic. So once they understand that logic, they are doing it through the graphical programming. What's next? What's the benefit of all doing all that stuff? Now that's the geeky stuff comes in. Because what have changed now? When myself, I was in a university 17, 18 years back, all the embedded programs we need to make it on our own. All the embedded circuits, everything has to be assembled by us. But today the world has changed. Today we have Arduino boards. Today we have Raspberry Pi boards. All the embedded circuits are already built in and ready to be used. What your kid need to know is just how to program them and connect the circuits together. And that's it. Your kids can make their own robots. If I take the honor to say that why I'm talking this one so confidently, because you might think that, yeah, it's easy to say, but already it's our kids are having a lot of burden, and it's very difficult to make the kids understand that one. I'm honored to say that my son, who is only 8 years old, he has done all 14-year grade coding. He is a C programmer, and he has won international awards on robotics last year. And believe you me, he is not a special kid. Every single kid is a special kid. You just trust them and let them unleash their potential. That's the geek of the week today, fellow Toastmasters. Let our kids unleash their geek. Thank you very much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Khurram Chishti, for explaining Geek of the Week segment very well. And you explained a personal story of a kid, that how at such young age you are training it very well. Well, I would like to share one moment with you guys. As you were talking about the technology, we can't forget one kid in Pakistan. Her name was Arfa. He was the youngest Microsoft certified professional from Pakistan. She died at a very young age. She was a very brilliant kid. And there is a technology park by name of Arfa Software Technology Park in Lahore, Pakistan. Now, going towards our next segment of the meeting, and there is a scientific keynote by our guest. She's from United States. Her name is Santha Stott. I am sorry if I have spelled the name wrong. The topic of the session is evaluations and consciousness. The observer affects the observed. With a huge round of applause, please everyone help me welcome to DTM Santha Stott.
Thank you very much. Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this. First of all, I want to ask you, how many of you Toastmasters are going to be participating in evaluation contests this year? So you're going to be lots of you. Okay. So I'm going to ramp up this presentation and tell you some of my tricks that helped me win the evaluation contest, not for 1 year, but for 2 years. Not because I won 2 years, but because I timed out at the district level. I won the club contest, the area contest, the division contest, and at the district contest, I timed out. So don't do that. Please learn from my mistake. So the observer affects the observed. This is a principle in quantum physics, and it's best known by the what is it called? The split. Okay, the host is playing tricks with my microphone.
No, I was playing tricks with all the others, but you fell
Oh.
victim. So sorry.
Okay, so what is it? The double slit experiment, where you see when you look at it one way, a light is photons are particles, and if you look at another way, they are waves. So it's a wavicle. So it's both a particle and a wave. And the same thing works for humans. When you look at a human with observe them with love and compassion and thinking that they're going to do a great thing, they do great things. And when you look at them with disdain or that they're not going to do well, they tend not to do well. And this can also be from the own human observing themselves. You probably have had an experience where you thought you were going to do great, and you did. It just worked out kind of magically. And other times where you thought it's not going to turn out great. In fact, one of my coworkers at the Federal Reserve, I used to work at the Federal Reserve for 18 years. I was a bank analyst and a bank examiner. And one of my coworkers came back from his Valentine's Day date, and it was miserable. Like, the flowers didn't come right, the chocolates were melted, the restaurant was wrong. I mean, everything went wrong. And I said to him, were you concerned about your date, your Valentine's date? Were you thinking that something bad was going to happen? He goes, yeah, I just knew it. I said, no, you didn't know it. You created it. You created a bad date with what you were thinking. So I did an experiment, and I talked about it in our WhatsApp group, with a glass of water. And because I was watching a cartoon that was it was so bad. I was watching it with my friends' children. It gave me a headache. There was so much negativity and violence. And I was just like, oh, I can't take this. I'm going to do my meditation. And so I did an experiment with a 10-year-old, and we took one glass of water, exactly the same type of glass, same amount of water from the same water source. He was very precise, 10-year-old scientist. And I took one glass with me, and I left one glass on the coffee table right in front of that television with the terrible cartoon on it. And I went upstairs and did my meditation, full of gratitude and love and compassion. And I was up there about an hour, and I came down and I put the waters in different cups for us to all do a taste test. And the 10-year-old and me and his grandmother all did a taste test of the water that I took with me in meditation and the water that stayed in front of the television set. And they tasted so completely different. The meditation water was like holy water. It was delicious, and it was sweet, and it was soft. And the water that was in front of the cartoon with the negativity tasted like metal. It tasted terrible. It tasted like it was polluted. And they were the same water source, same glasses just an hour ago. So the observer affects the observed. And I promised to tell you about my onion experiment that I did when I was a brain education instructor for children and adults. And I did this experiment with the children, and it was their favorite experiment. And it was based upon Dr. Emoto's hidden messages in water. Dr. Emoto was a researcher in Japan. And maybe you've heard about him from the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? If you haven't watched it, it's one of my favorite geeky movies to watch. It's excellent. And it talks about consciousness, and it talks a lot about the messages in water. And so I took 3 onions, just ordinary grocery store yellow onions, same size, same approximate shape, put them in 3 different same vases, same amount of water, same amount of sunlight. And we put 3 labels on them. One, we labeled the love onion, and we actually put a label of love on that. So we remember to send all of our love energy to that onion. And then another one, we had the anger onion. We put that, the boys loved the anger onion. They just got a kick out of being able to be angry and splash it around. And then the third one was the ignore onion. We put that on it and we put it behind a plant or something so we couldn't see it, but it still had the same light, still changed the water at the same time, everything the same. We were very good scientists. And we did it about 3 or 4 times. And after 6 weeks, what a difference. First, the love onion was a tree. I mean, it was huge. It was probably about 4 feet tall, that it got these sprouts coming from it. And it had so many roots. It almost didn't fit in the water anymore. So many roots. And the anger onion was surprisingly almost as big as the love onion. And it looked kind of similar from the top. But when you looked at the root, there was only one root, and it was very, 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 very long. It was as if that onion was searching for its grounding. It wanted security, and it just couldn't find it. And the third onion, that ignore onion was in sad shape. It had no branches and it had no roots, not one. And it actually imploded on itself, and it got this smelly, yucky black mold and white mold mixed together. And it was failure to thrive. It died from lack of energy. And that experiment taught me something really important about the observer affects the observed, and how the observed can change to try to get energy. Imagine a child that doesn't have enough love energy, that isn't cared for and loved and doted on. They end up like that ignore onion, failure to thrive. They could literally die without energy. So they come to the only thing they can do. They act out so they can attract some anger energy in order to survive. In order to survive. So when maybe your child is acting up, think about it. Can I give him more attention? Can I give her more attention? Does she need more of my love and caring? Is she trying to just survive? It makes a big difference. I'm getting all teary-eyed. Also, for your speaker, when you're an evaluator, when you look at your speaker, even if you don't know them, didn't know them before the day that you're supposed to be evaluating them, if you look at them as if they are your beloved, your best friend, your spouse, your mother, your sister, your brother, look at them as if they are your beloved. How can I help them grow? How can I help them speak better? It will change everything. And that's my secret sauce in winning the evaluation contest. Because even in the rules, it says you're supposed to be supportive and positive in your evaluations. So I'm looking for my timer. Woo! Uh-oh. So when you look at them this way, it can make a huge difference. And we require all of our evaluators to do this, even in our regular evaluations, to be supportive and positive and to focus on the positive. What did they do well? What was their strengths so they can repeat them? And scientifically, it has been proven that if you have to show what they did well or what they didn't do so well, what they can improve, if you can only do one, the best thing to do is to show them their strengths. There was 2 bowling teams. I don't know if you do bowling in Pakistan, but big ball, you throw it down an aisle, you'll knock over some pins. And they took videos of 2 bowling teams. And Team A, they took videos of them, what they did well, what they did well, when they made a strike, when they made a spare. And the other team, Team B, they took videos of what they did wrong, when they had gutter balls, when they made a mistake. And when they showed Team A and Team B their videos, which team improved the most? Well, I kind of gave it away. Team A, they saw only their strengths and they could repeat their strengths. Team B saw only their mistakes and they could only repeat their mistakes. So if you have to choose between the two, choose strengths. Second is we want evaluations to be balanced. We want to know where they can stretch, make their stretch goals, but we don't call them weaknesses. We don't call them areas of improvement. We call them stretch goals, how they could make their speech even better, take it to the next level. And maybe it is a weakness as you see it, but look at it as here's an opportunity where you could make this speech even better, not where you need to improve. It makes a big difference. And when I do my evaluations, here's my super tips. I still can't see my timer. How much time do I have left? Can you tell me?
7 minutes. 7 minutes. 50.
Okay. For some reason I cannot see the timer.
Now you can. I've pinned the timer along with your picture. Now you.
Okay.
I hope you can now. Yeah.
No, I'm still not seeing him. Okay.
He's Imran Rana. So just
Okay.
are you on a mobile device?
Imran Rana. Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to
Yeah.
identify him as a timer. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Imran. I see you now. Okay. So what super tips that I do when I'm an evaluator, I cheat. It's not really cheating, but I prepare my paper and I split it down the middle and I put one side is strengths and the other side is weaknesses. No. Stretch goals. and I automatically add one. Pause. Everybody uses it well and not so well. Always you can find something in the pause. So put the pause in both the strengths and the stretch goals. And then I usually put another P, position. So it can be the position that they're using in the camera, if they're close or they're far, right, left. Are they giving you depth and difference? Or are they giving you facial expressions? Are they giving you gestures? And I look at those. And then I take the third one, I let it ride. I'll see, is it humor? Is it storytelling? Whatever comes up. But at least I have two that are already ready for me. So I look, how is the speaker using pause powerfully? And how could they use it to make their presentation even more powerful? And what are they doing with position? How are they using it positively? And how could they use it more positively to enhance their speech? I want to tell you a little story. You all have heard of Julia Roberts, the Oscar award-winning actress, probably most known for Pretty Woman. She's an Oscar award-winning actress. But do you know that after Pretty Woman, she tried acting on the stage? She's a large, tall woman with long arms and everything. She'd be great on the stage, right? Wrong. She totally bombed, was almost booed off the stage, and all of the critics just tore her to shreds. Why? She's a great actress. Her medium. The stage is all about huge gestures, and she has the body for it, but she wasn't used to using them. She was used to close-ups. She was used to facial expressions, raising an eyebrow, scowling, or that big, huge smile of hers. She was used to close-ups. In film, she was used to being a person. She's rather tall, probably about 5'11" or something like that. But on a big straight stage, she's huge. She was not used to it. And the same thing for your speaker on film, Zoom, or on the stage. So many speakers stand up to speak because you're supposed to, right? You're supposed to stand up when you speak. That's for a stage and for a live audience. Best on film is when you sit and you're intimate with them, when you're right up close and personal, and when you can give them eye contact that makes them feel like you're looking just at them. So it's a different medium. So how is your speaker using their position? Are they standing far back so that you can hardly see them, but they're doing large gestures? Or are they intimate, up close and personal? And how are they pausing? Oh, the power of the pause. I could talk for hours about the pause. I geek over the pause. There are so many things that the pause can do to enhance your speaking. In fact, when you're a non-native English speaker, pausing is your best friend, both for the person that you're listening to and for you yourself being heard and understood. Because you need to pause so that it can go in through the ears and into the brain and sink in. And I say the pause is like the pause to a great statement or a great question is like the frame on a picture. Imagine the Mona Lisa, no frame, on the ground, slopped up against a wall. You wouldn't think it was so beautiful, would you? When you walk into the Louvre and you see the Mona Lisa, it's beautiful, it's displayed, it's got lighting, it's got space, it's so grandiose. That is what your pause can do. So the power of the pause and the power of position. So the next time you're doing an evaluation, whether it's for a contest or not, think of your speaker as your beloved, as your best friend. That's going to be the juice that's going to change your evaluation. And then look at their pause. How did they use it well? And how could they use it even better? And remember to give it as a stretch goal, not an area of improvement or a weakness, but a stretch goal that's going to make their speech even better. And their position. Are they up close and personal with you? Or are they far away and seem like they're distanced from you? The observer affects the observed. You are the observer of your speaker, and it will change everything about your evaluation and their speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
DTM.
Thank you, DTM Cynthia.
Your session was definitely great, and how you explained that we must mention the strengths while evaluating. And apart from that, words have very great power. And how beautifully you told that instead of mentioning weaknesses, you should mention stretchfuls. And that was a very important word for me, and I learned a new thing from you. Thank you so much for that. So, hello Toastmasters and guests, we are moving towards our next section of today's meeting, and it's a Q&A session.
We have a 10 minutes Q&A session.
Yes, exactly. And that Q&A session is going to be conducted by our very enthusiastic Toastmaster, DTM Talha bin Hamid. who is our counter today and a tech host as well. Over to you, Toastmaster Kalam and Hamid.
Thank you so much, DTM Cynthia. First, let me give you this standing ovation for your keynote today. This is my evaluation of your keynote. I have absolutely no words. And contrary to your advice, I'm standing up and distancing myself so that you can see me stand up. But everyone, we have 10 minutes. Please share your questions either in the chat box or raise your hand. So we have a raised hand, but first we have a remark from our from a long-time friend of DTM Cynthia, Toastmaster Rabia Zishan, who says, "It's always a pleasure listening to you, and you're amazing." I believe they echo all our sentiments. DTM Sudarshan, you're up.
Yeah. First of all, DTM Cynthia, thank you very much. That was very much needed because I've spent pretty much the whole day listening to Toastmasters speak and evaluating them. This came as the right dose at the end of a very long day. Well, my question to you is slightly different and not related necessarily to evaluations. You mentioned something about vibes. You mentioned something about the feeling that you transmit and you receive. Now, there are times and there are days when you wake up in the morning with either a euphoric feeling or a feeling of dread because you don't know what the day is going to bring to you. How do you counter that? When you know, when you're stepping out of bed and putting your right foot on the floor, you know something is going to go right or you feel something is going to go wrong. What do you do at that stage?
And if you feel it's going to go wrong, it is going to go wrong. You better change that feeling and quick. I find that feeling can change with gratitude. When I can feel honest gratitude for something, it grows and it changes. So that's one of the things that I was doing in my meditation with that glass of water was gratitude. And one of the things that my mantra that I say in my head that really helps me is gratitude and love to the heavens, gratitude and love to the earth, love and compassion to me and all humanity. And that changes how I feel. In fact, one time I was doing a special dance meditation called The Wave, and we were doing a partner exercise, and I was supposed to dance and my partner was supposed to watch me, and then they were supposed to reflect back what they felt. And it was a man. I had never met him before, stranger, and I felt really uncomfortable. I felt very uncomfortable. So I kept saying gratitude and love to the heavens, gratitude and love to the earth, love and compassion to me and all humanity in my head as I danced. Do you know what he said? I felt, he goes, I don't know if it was for yourself or for everyone, but I felt compassion. He felt compassion while I danced. That's a very unusual word to think of when someone's dancing. So change your attitude with love and compassion, love and gratitude, and make your day amazing.
Thank you so much, DTM Cynthia. Who would like to go next? Come on, guys. We have DTM Cynthia with us. Don't waste this chance.
I think Rabia made a comment.
Yeah, Rabia, you have. Yeah, it's always a pleasure listening to you. Gratitude is powerful. Yes, indeed, gratitude is powerful. And DTM Cynthia, you, when we talk about advanced clubs, we usually say that the evaluation have to be blunt and they need to be advanced. But you suddenly just changed the paradigm for me by your keynote today. And I realized that the more kindness you show and the more motivation you give, it comes true. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will demotivate and the speaker will be demotivated. If you motivate, they will be motivated. So thank you so much for that. We have a question from Toastmaster Asad. Asad, do you have a question?
Oh, he's muted.
You're muted. You're muted. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Hi there, everyone. So, Cynthia, thank you very much for your session that you did on Toastmasters. This is my first time.
We are losing you.
I have a very clear time. Yet I agree with you. Of course, the power of positivity. That's very important. And I have my dear mentor, Rabia. I think that we try in the next I found to be pretty informative and very nice, quite impressive actually. So hats off to you, everyone. I just wanted to share my bit of learning that I got from I'm signing off and thanks very much for having me. Have a nice day.
Did you understand, Talva?
Just a little bit, but can you repeat? He actually talked about the power of positivity. And if I'm correct, Asad, correct me if I'm wrong, that you actually highlighted the aspect of power of positivity in Cynthia's speech. But what is, while you were giving your question, your voice completely drowned. So can you repeat your question, what the question was? You're muted, you're muted. Yes, yes. Be a little louder. Yeah.
Yes, hold a second. Hold a second. Can you guys hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Perfectly, perfectly. Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. My phone was on Bluetooth. I didn't realize that, and I think it's not working very well. But this should be better. Thank you very much for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure to be amongst such learned people. And thank you, Cynthia, for your time. I'm really delighted to have you. I know it was not just hearing you, but it was quite a treat looking at you, by the way. I really do appreciate the way you elaborate and how you take pauses when you are trying to explain something to everyone. This is my first time on Toastmaster. I was just saying the power of positivity is very important. And I think it is something which is very rare now, thanks to a lot of things which are happening. It could be the COVID, it could be inflation, it could be all the other negativities that are happening around the world. We need a lot of positive thoughts now, along with gratitude. So thank you very much. And that's it. I did not have any questions. I just wanted to share my bit of learning that I had today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
May I share a story about positivity and how it actually changes things?
Please do, please do.
So I was a bank examiner and I was doing examinations off-site, and I would send the examiners on-site and they'd look at the loans and they collect the data and then bring it back to me. And usually they would collect it the first week of a 2-week exam. Well, the bank couldn't find the loans. Oh, they couldn't find the loans. Thursday, Friday, and then Monday morning, I come in to the office. I've got a message on my machine. Cynthia, the bank examiners, Cynthia, the bankers do not have the files. We cannot make your 11 a.m. deadline. Click. I was so angry. I was really angry. I was so angry. My stomach hurt. Oh, and I knew I needed to change my energy. So where did I go? To the bathroom, the only place to have privacy. And I ranted for a little bit. And then I sent myself some love and gratitude to myself. I felt better. So I said, I'm going to send some love and gratitude to the examiners because I sure sent them some negativity just now. And I sent them love and gratitude. And while I'm at it, I'm going to send those bankers some love and gratitude because I have been so angry at them all week. And I sent them love and gratitude. And I went downstairs and had my breakfast at the cafeteria for about 20 minutes, came back upstairs, and there was another message. Oh, I was nervous, but I thought, love and compassion, love and compassion as I listened to my message. You know what the message said? We have the loans. The bankers found them. We'll make your 11 a.m. deadline. No problem. Click. 20
Wow.
minutes. 20 minutes after a whole week of trying to find those loans. So positivity can absolutely pay off. Love and gratitude are some powerful things.
Thank you so much. And that reminds me, actually, my best friend once said to me that if someone is doing you wrong or they are hurting you, pray for them. And since he's my best friend, I told him, are you out of your freaking mind? Who does that? But somehow today it makes sense. So he will certainly say now that, okay, DTM Cynthia had to say that, and then you saw sense in what I told you. But that was absolutely fantastic once again. So I believe we are out of time. And if anyone has further questions, then please put them in the chat box. And maybe if DTM Cynthia sees them, and if she has the chance, she can answer them. So with that, I hand over the charge back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, DTM Talha. You conducted the session very well and the people asked very exciting questions. I think it was a challenge for DTM Cynthia today. Well, she handled very well, by the way. So we're moving towards our next segment of the today's meeting. And it's a very, very important segment in which our members are going to present their projects. And on that, they will be given evaluations. So we're coming towards the prepared speaking session of today's meeting. And our first prepared speaker is Toastmaster Umar Hussain, and his evaluator and his lead evaluator is DTM Sudha. Please, if I am wrong, correct me.
DTM Sudarshan.
DTM Sudarshan.
Yeah.
DTM Sudarshan, please come on the mic and tell us about the speech objectives of Toastmaster Umar Hussain.
Sure. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It is with great pleasure that I read out the objectives of our next speaker, Toastmaster Umar Hussain. Toastmaster Umar Hussain is speaking from Understanding Your Leadership Style, and the speech title is Impact of Leadership on Organizations. The specific objectives of the speech are for the member to identify his primary leadership style, and the secondary objective is for the member to share some aspects of his primary leadership style and discuss leadership in general. The time allocated is 5 to 7 minutes. The speaker is Umar Hussain. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you so much, DTM. You explained about the project very well. Now we are going to call our passionate Toastmaster from Islamabad, if I am not wrong. Toastmaster Umar Hussain, the stage is yours. Please start. You are muted.
You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, now I'm audible now. I was sitting next to the Excellency, the ambassador of one of the African countries, along with a large delegation from the business community. It was the first time I was conducting any formal meeting Just one day before this event, the newly elected president, Chamber of Commerce, asked me, Mr. Umar, I would like you to conduct the ceremony of tomorrow that we are having with an ambassador. Yes, Mr. President, I'll do it. Not having any prior experience of any such event, I decided to memorize everything and also kept a small note in my pocket just in case I forget something. Now the meeting was about to start. All the guests had arrived. There was silence in the boardroom. They were looking at me that I start and say something. At that moment, I realized that I forgot everything and my mind went blank. All I remember, I was holding a desk-mounted mic in front of me and I was looking at the table. I spoke for about less than 2 minutes and handed over the meeting to the president. The president looked at everyone and smiled and said, Jumbo. And that was the moment the whole atmosphere of the room changed. All the guests got excited and they were smiling and they started chatting with the president. Jumbo is hello in South African. Taking advantage of that moment, I took out the note from my pocket to find out what to do next. Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, that day when I went back home, I was so much inspired by the president, his confidence, the way he engaged all the audience, that I decided that I must work on my public speaking skills. I started looking for the options and I found about the Rawalpindi Toastmasters Club. And since that day till today, I'm a proud member of Rawalpindi Toastmasters Club. Our next meeting at the chamber was in about 2 weeks, and my president told me that, Mr. Umar, you did so well, and I want you to be the master of ceremony for the next meeting as well. And after that, we'll engage more members. We'll keep on flipping. Yes, Mr. President, I'll try my best. Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard about John C. Maxwell? Yeah, most of the Toastmasters know. He's an author and a great speaker. He's written many books primarily on leadership. He describes the leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. And the way our president encouraged me, motivated me, is the best example that how a great leader could have positive impact on the team members. I remember that from the university, college, I've taken all sort of courses, physics, chemistry, mathematics, even astrology, history of arts. But my biggest fear was public speaking. And the toughest class for me was speech communication because I had to come on stage and present myself to my class fellows. I have a good career in accounts and finance, but then I switched to marketing and sales. And I had something in my back of my mind that I lacked something. But I was never able to work on this until I met this great leader who really encouraged me to face this fear of mine. And I started working on it. And today, if I'm able to communicate with you, that's only because of the motivation of that great leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, Chamber of Commerce is a platform for the business enterprises. They elect their people every year so they can represent themselves while dealing with the government and companies around the world. So promotion of the business community. But unfortunately, due to time constraints, since this platform is like a charity, it's a non-profit organization, no one gets paid. And people are so much busy that they cannot compromise their personal time and their business time. But this year, Chamber was able to create a history because of a dynamic leadership. The day he assumed the office of the presidency, he presented the list of objectives that he wanted to achieve. And those objectives were so compelling that all the members right away decided that we will fully support the president. The list is long. I'll just mention a few to give you an idea. We decided to establish a desk at the chamber where we'll hire new interns from the university. They'll be taking care of all the new graduates coming every semester, and they will distribute their CVs, resumes to the industry and trade. So the new fresh graduates could get chances of getting internship to have some practical knowledge. Last year, we had serious issues with COVID, and small traders were affecting due to lockdowns. We decided to engage all the small traders to start their business online. We emphasized on the importance of expos, the property expo, the information technology expo. His vision was so compelling that all the members worked day and night, and first time in 30 years, Chamber of Commerce, even being non-profit organization, made a profit of 40 million rupees. The members and the president later on decided to distribute that money for social causes. Money was given to charities, even ambulance and wheelchairs were bought for the hospitals. I joined Chamber of Commerce with a feeling of giving back to the community. There was nothing financial, but I have gained so much. I have learned so much in the last 1 year that I could not do that in the past so many years. All the members, and including myself, we had developed the spirit of fraternity amongst because of that great leadership. One leader changed the entire organization with his vision, with exposure, with patience, with humanity, because when we were getting successful in events and expos, all the credit was given to the members. He never claimed credit for himself, but shields, appreciation certificates were given to all the members. For me, it was a great opportunity because of him, that leadership, I'm able to see this beautiful community of Toastmasters. My joining of around 20 Toastmasters and now the Quantum Leap Toastmasters is worth more than any amount of money could ever buy. So I'll give all this credit to the great leadership that I've been able to work in the last 1 year. And that's all from my side. Over to you, Toastmasters. Please.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Umar Hussain. The way you were using your face expressions, your body language, and a touch of a personal story, it was definitely worth. Now we are going towards the evaluation of Toastmaster Umar Hussain. For that, I would be calling our lead evaluator, DTM Sudarshan. Please come on stage and evaluate.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. TMOD, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and of course, Toastmaster Umar Hussain. First of all, whenever a speaker speaks about a personal story, it immediately becomes authentic, believable, relatable, and we start scanning our brains to figure out if we were ever in that situation and what did we do. So for that and that alone, I would like to commend our speaker to have taken the risk of sharing something so intimate and so personal with all of us, which showed us his vulnerability, his honesty, his integrity, and of course, his investment in himself to grow and become a better speaker and therefore a better professional. And the way our speaker wove his speech in a very structured manner from the beginning, wherein glossophobia was something that was literally holding his feet, to the point where when the guest of honor said Jumbo, ice literally broke and he got enmeshed in this beautiful journey of communication. And how that journey of communication has indeed transformed him from somebody who was, sorry for the word, a geek with numbers, to someone that uses words, gestures, and body language to influence the outcome as a sales and marketing professional. This clearly shows the transition in the arc and the power of communication and its ability to influence outcomes. However, as our guest of honor today spoke about stretch goals, I would like to talk about some of the stretch goals that I would encourage Toastmaster Umar to try and emulate. First and foremost, when we deliver a speech of any kind, we are conversing. Think about your speech from the perspective of having a conversation with a close friend. When we speak to our friends, we always intonate. We always drop our voice, raise our voice, our face changes, our hands move, our body moves. Because guess what? When you're with your friend, you are intimate. You are ready for that particular conversation to happen. Think about a Toastmaster speech or any speech that way, because ultimately you have the power and privilege of having a conversation with all of us. Try and have a conversation. Second, in a conversation, there is always once upon a time, long, long ago, to today, and to the future, which means our conversations need to have certain distinctions to say this was the opening, this was the body, and this was the conclusion. One recommendation would be if you can split the speech in clear demarcated compartments, it will give you and the audience clarity on how the transitions are taking place. All in all, I would like to say that this was a speech that came from the heart, very genuine, very heartfelt, and it resonated with me deeply because I, at one point in time, was given an opportunity like this, and it did transform my life. And therefore, today's speech fills me with a lot of gratitude and a lot of warm memories of how my journey has been. So thank you very much, Toastmaster Umar, for bringing that to light today. With that being said, as your lead evaluator, I would also like to take the help of some other Toastmasters who have been in this meeting, who've been listening to Toastmaster Umar's speech with great intent to come and share some of their commendations. The first among them would be Toastmaster Rahma Veeb. Toastmaster Rahma, the stage is all yours now.
Thank you. So Toastmaster Umar, I would like to congratulate you on an amazing speech. I could see before you had even started that your posture was very confident. It seemed that everything that you had started out with the intention to become a good public speaker, you had actually reached to a point where, you know, when I was looking at you, I couldn't believe that there was a point where you would stop and have to look at your notes and be nervous. So the body language was great. You know, you use gestures, and when you were talking about speakers, when you were differentiating between you and the president and the conversation that they were having, you would sit on one side and stand on one side, and then, you know, have the conversation with yourself. And not only did your body language show that you were having a conversation because you switched the position, but also the voice, you know, your volume and the way you were speaking. So the president was more confident, and then you were a bit shy. You could tell by that, you know, there were two different people. That was on spot. Really enjoyed that. And eye contact is a very difficult thing, I believe, with online meetings. I do feel that you mastered that really well. And you know, it felt like your presence was really, because of your posture and because of your body language, I could feel that that was really natural and confident. The other thing is that the content of the speech flowed really well. So, you know, you started off with your experiences and you brought in Toastmasters, and then you transitioned into how you are now and how your leadership has evolved. So that was quite a good transition.
Thank you. We have 1 minute of time allocated, Toastmaster Rahma. That was very comprehensive for that minute. Could I now request Toastmaster Khurram, Saeed, to please come and share his commendations?
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. Toastmaster Umar, I believe that you nailed it on the point of connecting it with your life, with your experiences. I'll talk more about your technicalities into the part which has not been taken. Most of the things have already been covered. The important point in when you're taking a speech is, you know, looking around your background and your color of your shirts. So those technicalities should be taken as a part that you have quite a mixed background on your back, which is very beautiful, to be very honest. But your color shirt is mixing around with that. So there is always, a point where, we are looking at your background and then on you. So you are not, emerging as one individual in your online meetings. So that's one part. Second part, I would say, is where you can use your vocal variety. I mean, your body language was excellent. You are taking covering the stage very well. But if you, add a salt of having a tones up and down along with all that thing, it will add, more beauty into your speech. Thank you. And over to you, DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Khurram. Now, obviously, every great speech can move to that biggest room in the world, the room for improvement. So to do the recommendations, first up, I'm going to call on Toastmaster Imran Rana to come and share his recommendations in 1 minute, please.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sudarshan. First of all, congratulations to Toastmaster Umar Hussain. My recommendations about your speech is that I observed that you were moving constantly to and fro, back and fro. So what you can do, you can work upon your stage movement according to the speech, not the back and fro. You can work upon that. Secondly, my recommendation is that throughout the speech, I felt you were monotone. So you can work upon your vocal variety as well. Over to you, Toastmaster Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran. Last but by no means least, Toastmaster Osama Ali to share his recommendations. Toastmaster Osama, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. Well, coming towards the recommendation of our today's speaker, Toastmaster Umar Hussain. First of all, I think Toastmaster Umar that these are your stretch goals. By the way, these are not your weaknesses, and there are room of improvement in every speech. So I think that the eye contact can be improved a little bit. While you were talking, it was looking like that your laptop was a little bit down and you were standing a little bit higher. If it would be at exactly the camera should be with your eyes, it would be a little bit better while speaking. And apart from that, I think that some more pauses can be indulged in the speech. So it would seem quite interesting and engaging. And moreover, if you would have asked a little bit questions from the audience, the speech would be seemed more engaging. That's it from my side.
Thank you very much. And of course, we go back to the man of the moment, the person who delivered the speech and has had the patience to listen to all of us, Toastmaster Umar Hussain. In a minute, could you give us your feedback or your reaction to what you've heard from all of us today? Toastmaster Umar, kindly unmute yourself.
Yes, thanks a lot. All the suggestions, recommendations are great. I realized that myself at a point when I was giving a speech that if I could take a pause, but I was not getting a moment and I was not able actually to see the timer for some, I could not pin the timer. So I was not sure what to do. So there was some kind of, time constraint on my mind that was forcing me to just keep on going. That is rightly said that taking pauses could have a much better impact. The second thing about the laptop, honestly, I've been trying to find something to put under my laptop. I couldn't, I just put some books, and if I could have more books, that would be much better to have better stage view for you all. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much. And with that, I would now like to hand it back to our TMOD to take the proceedings further. So Toastmaster Osama, kindly take charge and take the proceedings further.
Thank you so much, DTM. Fellow Toastmasters, our first prepared speech project has been ended. It was a personal story of a very passionate Toastmaster. Now we are heading towards our next prepared speaker. Her name is Mubina Rauf, and her evaluator is and our lead evaluator is DTM Cynthia Stott. DTM Cynthia, can you please come on stage and explain us the speech objectives?
Great. The speech objectives today for Mubina. See, it's an icebreaker speech. I'm sure she's given many icebreaker speeches. And so her objective is to introduce herself to us, to let us know about who she is, and to share some aspect of that. Because you can't give your whole life in 4 to 6 minutes. But I hope that we can understand her at a deep level. Thank you.
Thank you, DTM Cynthia. Am I audible?
Yes.
You are given this life because you are strong enough to live it. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, good evening. I grew up part a bustling city and part a small, sleepy rural area. So I think I am an urban-rural mixed of a person. And I feel privileged to have such a mixed background. Brought up by a strict disciplinarian mother and schooled in a convent, I realized early in life the value of perseverance and resolve in life. Fast forward, got married, had kids, and one day landed in Saudi Arabia, where I discovered the one and only Oasis Toastmasters Club. I was introduced to a whole new world of communication, which I confess today has been my weak point throughout. I don't say much. I'm an introvert, maybe. The touch points in life regarding this have been many. While growing up, I have vivid memories of being embarrassed of my height and lankiness. Yes, exactly. I was the tallest girl in the school. And the questions: why are you so tall? How is the weather up there? How come you are so thin? And the salesman at the shoe shop: maybe you should try the men's side. Do you play basketball? Yes, I do. I wanted to retort back. Do you play miniature golf, huh? But I didn't say anything. I became quieter and stayed away from people. Later, thanks to my dear husband, who insisted that I should wear heels, my confidence was restored, but not to the point of wearing heels, never. Another touch point in which I am lost still. Not so long ago, I called home for a long chat with my mother, a routine activity on Thursday evenings. My nephew told me that she was not well and they were taking her to the hospital and she could not talk right now. Within a few hours, I boarded the plane and was by her side early morning. I kept calling her, but she did not respond. Maybe she heard me, but there was no response. She left for her heavenly abode soon. Numbed, devastated, shattered. No words could describe the condition I was in. My brain had frozen. At that time, my son came to me and told me that our return flight had been canceled and he had booked another flight for the next day. We can't stay, he said. The airports are shutting down. I didn't even get time to mourn, sit with my siblings, share my grief, and talk about all the happy times we had in that home. I returned home a zombie, completely disoriented. The lockdown started after 2 weeks. A new term now in the dictionaries, WFH, work from home, was introduced. The same year, I was supposed to travel to the UK to complete my doctoral write-up in my university. But supervision would be online now, they said. So I sat on my desk and wrote my thesis, cooked, cleaned, and again went back to writing. During that imprisonment, my husband's anxiety levels shot up. He was depressed. I arranged for his online sessions with the doctor, worked from home, and wrote, along with my unending grief. Time passed at snail's pace, but I kept plodding till the day I submitted and presented my work and got the oral exam date. Everybody told me that the Viva would be easy, but it was not. Instead of a scheduled 1.5 hour session, it lasted for 3 hours and I was grilled relentlessly. After taking a 30-minute break, the examiners came in and one of them said, "Congratulations, Dr. Mubina." I don't remember what happened till the meeting ended and my husband came in. I put my head on his shoulder and cried my heart out. I really don't know if I felt relieved afterwards. One thing I know clearly is that I sorely miss my mother. And I'm waiting to travel back home, visit her grave, and have that usual long chat with her. Maybe I'll get some solace. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, Toastmaster Mubina, a personal touch of a story. You literally made all of us very emotional when you were talking about your mother. So now, fellow Toastmasters, we are moving towards the evaluation session of Toastmaster Mubina, and her lead evaluator is DTM Cynthia. DTM Cynthia, please come on stage and do your evaluation.
Great. Well, thank you. Oh, that was such a heart-touching story and so intimate. And you told such details. I loved your descriptive words, your not only vocal variety, but use of descriptive words. Like you were talking about wearing high heels and that you were never, that was never going to be something that you could do, or that you felt like a zombie after your mother died. And I really feel that no matter how old you are, whenever you lose a parent, you feel like an orphan. And you displayed that emotion and that descriptive words that really drew us in and maybe made us think about our own loss or loss of our parent or a friend or a loved one. It's a universal thing. And you tapped into that universal usage. I loved your description of what you were doing with your doctoral thesis and being grilled for 3 hours and then falling on the shoulder of your husband and crying. It was just so compelling. Your words were really, really compelling. What I think would have been even more powerful is if you had paused a little bit more. Let it sink in. Especially when you lose a loved one and you're in that place of grief, everything seems to slow down. And if you could really make us feel that slowing down with your own pauses, that would have made it even more precious. And I loved how you connected with us with your heart. But if you could connect with us with your eyes even more, even more eye contact, especially because you were close to the camera, you were sitting down, you could have looked straight in the eyes and let us really feel what you feel. Now, sometimes eye contact can be as culturally difficult, but you can do what I call soft eyes, not staring eyes, but soft eyes will be inviting and can be very scary. Can make you feel almost like when I was dancing in front of a man that I didn't even know, very exposed. But if you relax into it, you can allow us to connect with heart to heart. Yeah, I froze for a minute there. But if you can connect with us eye to eye, that also connects us heart to heart. Thank you.
DTM Cynthia, you need to invite the commendations and recommendations now. Can you see the agenda?
No, I can't right now.
No worries, no worries, no worries at all. Let me do that. So now, thank you so much. First of all, DTM Cynthia, we have our first commendations from DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you, DTM Talha. I have 3 words to commend Dr. Mubina. Voice, emotion, honesty. The speech had everything in loads. Her voice communicated the ethos, the pathos, and the logos of her speech, which made me sit back straight up in my chair and relate to whatever that was being said. The emotions were so raw and so visceral that it made one feel a part of the journey. When she said she sat next to her mother and spoke to her, it made me feel like a fly on the wall, waiting and watching what is transpiring. And that is the power of a great speaker. And of course, it was also emotive that I felt Dr. Mubina is going to shed a tear or two right now on screen in front of all of us, because it was coming from somewhere deep down, which made us all truly connect. I seldom speak for the audience. This is the first time I'm doing that. And I feel by the look and the nods that I was seeing on screen, I think everybody in the audience was on that roller coaster till she came out of that room saying, I am Dr. Mubina. And to that extent, this was an icebreaker par excellence. Thank you very much. Back to you, DTM Khurram.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. Next for commendations, I'll invite Toastmaster Imran. You, Toastmaster Imran. Yeah. You're muted. Yeah. Now you're not.
It was quite a surprise for me that I'm giving commendation. So fellow Toastmasters and guests, Toastmaster Mubina Rauf. First of all, sincere gratitude for delivering such an amazing icebreaker speech. I thoroughly involved in your speech because you were sincere what you were saying. And the phrases, the language, the vocabulary you used throughout your speech, it was mind-blowing. So that's all about it. I thoroughly enjoyed your speech. You were wonderful, you were amazing, and you just nailed it. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Now it is turn for recommendations. And I go first. How do you ever suggest even stretch goals after such a speech? Everything seems so trivial. But since it's my job, I'll try my best. Toastmaster Mubina, I believe the only 2 remotely stretch goals in your speech were, first of all, your lighting could be slightly improved in terms of visibility. And secondly, while you were very emotive and very expressive, nothing to take away from that, but maybe a little more vocal variety, more of a contrast between your initial speech and how it ended up on a very tragic note. So a little bit of vocal variety in the beginning could have conveyed that contrast and journey quite well, I believe. Although no complaints about the latter half of your speech where you were spot on, but only if you had been a little livelier, a little more sprightly in the first half, that would have been good. And now I will invite for the second set of recommendations, DTM Ajay.
Hi, Talha. Thank you so much. I'm also surprised for the recommendations. Yes, Mubina, I think Mubina. I'm correctly pronouncing Mubina. Your speech is emotional. Yes, emotions are required for a human being. Your speech is a little bit emotional, but if you could avoid expressing, I know the love of your mother and the relationship between mothers and the children, but if you could control that, that would be a great thing. And apart from that, the speech is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, DTM Ajay. Toastmaster Mubina, your response to all these suggestions and comments.
Thank you, DTM Talha. I think I will incorporate all the recommendations, and thank you for the recommendations. I was scared of, I wrote the speech, but I was really scared of coming in front and talking about such a personal thing. But I, gathered the courage to come, and thanks to online meetings, you do get some courage to speak like this. And the recommendations are really good. I was really scared because I thought I will break down during the speech, but alhamdulillah, that didn't happen. And yes, thank you for the feedback. I'll surely incorporate everything in my next speech. Thank you everybody for all your comments.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mubina. In fact, I speak for everyone when I say that we were in awe of what you brought to this meeting and to your speech. It takes great courage, and in fact, it takes a lot of boldness to be so expressive. So with that, I hand over the charge back to our Toastmaster of the day. But let me interject a little bit. I'll be floating 2 polls for best speaker and best evaluator. Mr. Timer, I believe all were qualified. Okay. Can you share who was qualified?
Only Toastmaster Mubina Rauf is qualified.
Okay. Okay, so Toastmaster Mubina, congratulations, you win by default. But what about our 2 lead evaluators? I believe both of them were qualified, right? Toastmaster Imran, our lead evaluators were qualified, right?
Okay, just let me tell you the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, both lead evaluators are qualified.
Okay, so I'll be floating a poll, and in the meantime, Toastmaster of the day, please continue with the meeting, and apologies for this little interruption.
Thank you so much, DTM Talha. Fellow Toastmasters, meanwhile, the voting is going on for the lead evaluator. We are heading towards our next session of the meeting. It's very exciting and gonna be very engaging. You know, in different life situations, And when we are sitting in different tough meetings with our boss and with our team, a question comes and you have to answer that immediately. There comes the impromptu speech where you don't have to think and you just have to speak. And you are going to learn that skill right now. We have a very exciting and passionate Toastmaster from across the border, our neighboring country. I hope he's from India. DTM Ajay. With a huge round of applause, please help me welcome DTM Ajay.
Thank you so much. Toastmaster of the day. Am I audible clearly? Okay. So yes, I am from India, Hyderabad. Before I start giving the topics, let me explain why we have table topics in our Toastmasters meetings. So this is for the guests to know the information. If you participate in table topics, it will help you to improvise your thought process and come up with meaningful responses or answers whenever you have a question. For example, if your kid or if your brother or sister who are younger to you asks why the sky is blue, then we can't say, shut up, that's not none of your business, right? So we have to give a meaningful response. So in order to frame the answers, the table topics will help us to bring the ideas on the top of our mind. And the time limit for the speaker is 1 to 2 minutes. The green card will be shown at 1 minute and the yellow card will be shown at 1 minute 30 seconds. Red card will be shown at 2 minutes. And the speaker will have a 30 seconds grace period. And two instructions for the speaker. There is no need to stop. There is no hard stop when you see the red card. You have 30 seconds grace period to conclude your speech. That's the first thing. And tip is you can take 10 seconds to think on the topic and speak. So, and one more thing, the third tip is when I give you the topic, try to repeat it so that you will have some more time, some more extra seconds to frame your question, to frame your answers. So these are the tips that I wanted to give before I begin the table topic session. So here I have 8 topics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, randomly numbered. So you can pick one number and then I will give you the topic. And I will try to be technology or science oriented, but these topics will be very, very easy. So who wants to volunteer first? Okay, Toastmaster of the day has raised his hand. So can you please choose a number between 1 to 8? You are on mute, sir.
I would like to go for 5.
5. Okay. So here is 5. Your topic is, which science fiction movie do you like most and why? Which science fiction movie do you like most and why?
DTM Ajay, it's a very difficult question for me. Me being a computer science and a software developer, I don't watch movies very much. I am a book reader and I read books related to finance, business, education, blah, blah, blah. If my question can be changed, I would be very
Yes.
I will be very thankful to you.
Okay, sure. How many email addresses do you have? How many email addresses do you have?
Thank you so much, DTM Ajay, for giving such an awesome question. Email addresses, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Email is a very important mode of today's communication. Right now, in today's age, while having emails, we are doing our important communication on emails, like when we are scheduling the meetings or we are giving some updates to our manager or bosses or something important, something official. These all things are done on email. And The question has been asked that how many emails I have. Well, can any one of you make a guess?
Maybe 10 email addresses?
5.
500.
Thank you for your nice answers, by the way. So, fellow Toastmasters, right now I am having 7 emails. There is my one work email, my one university email, and 5 of my own emails. You might be seeing that how I am handling all these 7 emails. So on all these emails, I have multiple subscriptions while talking about the 5 emails, I have multiple subscriptions of different things and I have managed between them so that I know that the glitch is not made on all the emails. So thank you so much for the question and it was a great session.
Okay, thank you, speaker. I do have 8, but not 7. I have 8 email addresses, excluding my office Outlook. Thank you so much. Who wants to be the next? Okay, Rahma has raised her hand. Oh, no, sorry, I'm not sure the gender. Okay, right. Rahma, can you please unmute yourself?
Sure.
Can you please choose a number between 1 to 4 and 6 to 8?
2.
There is 2. And your topic is, what is the impact of digital technology on your day-to-day life? What is the impact of digital technology on your day-to-day life?
Hello, Toastmasters and guests. Gone are the times when the digital world was something that people were not aware of. Gone are the times when your parents did not know what WhatsApp was. And gone were the times when remote meetings did not happen. Post-COVID, we live in a digital world. And I do not think that the digital world is going anywhere. It impacts our life from beginning to end. It impacts how we start our day by picking up our phone, by looking at the messages we have, by the notifications we have, unless some of us have consciously made an effort to cleanse ourselves from the digital world, we are using some form or the other. I mean, the very fact that I'm having this conversation with you over a virtual platform shows that we've made use of this. And it's something that we are benefiting from. And it's also something that is taking away from us and eroding our mental health and our physical health. It's just something that we don't entirely want to acknowledge. The digital world is something that has evolved, and it has evolved greatly. And I did not actually foresee my parents to be utilizing it, or probably I imagined that, the younger generation or my generation would utilize it. But, it puts a smile to my face when my parents are the one who are just literally looking into their phones as if they're going to go inside and they're going to evaporate somehow into the phone. But, it's like, we're not the ones who are addicted. They're the ones who are addicted and who are really excited when they see WhatsApp, or, when they figure out, oh, you can do on your phone through an app. So I think that's something I find really fascinating about the digital world. But yes, it's here to stay, and we must make the most use of it. And we're doing it already. Over to you.
Thank you, Rahma. Yes, digital. If there is no digital technology, then we would not have met across the borders during this COVID time. Thank you so much. And Moiz Naeem, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Moiz Naeem has raised the hand. So can you please turn on your camera? Visible? Okay, I have numbers. So I have numbers 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 8. Which one do you like to choose?
7.
7. Okay. What is the impact of technology on children? What is the impact of technology on children?
Fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, the technology has evolved at a so rapid pace that we cannot recognize where we have reached now from the point when we were childhood. I could remember when I was a child, I used to wait for my father to arrive from office and home, and I could play that game, Snake game, on Nokia phones. But now, when I see my younger siblings, they just start taking tablets and they couldn't speak, but they know where they can get their cartoons, where they can get their Tom and Jerry's, and they are so addicted by the technology that they are in the world, but they are not in the world. We take them to their events, but they are in their iPads. We take them to long road trips, but they are in their iPads. We take them to malls, but they are in their iPads. So all in all, technology has greatly affected in positive and negative ways. But if we can't control, it can ruin the life of our children because it is disconnecting them from the real world. With this, I hand over the charge back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, this COVID has made children not to move from the houses, and they're missing the school and the playground, and they're addicted to the cell phones so much. Yes, I hope this will.
Mr. Tabletop Master, sorry for interrupting you. I have to come in between. We are running short of time.
Okay.
We can have just one speaker more, please.
Yes, sure. That's what I wanted to ask the timer, Imran Rana. So, okay, one more topic, okay? So, who would like to volunteer? Okay, Sudarshan.
Yeah.
Sudarshan, DTM Sudarshan. We have numbers like 63148. Which one do you like to choose, sir?
3.
Okay. So your topic is, what do you have in your fridge? What do you have in your fridge?
Thank you, DTM Ajay. That's a question which I am utterly unqualified to answer. Because when my wife says, go and get 3 things from the market, I invariably return with half a thing, because on the way, a Toastmaster calls me and I'm answering some query. And by the time I reach the shop, she had told me eggs, milk, and bread. I come back with potatoes. So if I go right now to the fridge and open it, it might have a myriad of things of which I would have no recollection till the credit card bill comes at the end of the month and I realize that we've paid 4,000 dirhams for all the groceries that we purchased. And that's when I would go back and ask her, why do we consume so many eggs in the month? What is the point of consuming that much of milk? But guess what? On a given day when I want to have a cup of coffee and there is no milk in the fridge, that's when I realize that the fridge should also have a bottle of milk. So to answer your question, I have absolutely no clue what is there in my fridge, but I hope it is well stocked and it remains well stocked, because if any of you fellow Toastmasters do decide to drop in, I should be in a position at least to offer you a cup of coffee, if not a sumptuous meal. So it is my way of inviting each and every one of you to my house. Come over, and hopefully by that time the fridge will be really full. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster. DTM Sudarshan. Sir, timer, Imran Rana, are all speakers qualified in terms of time?
Yes, all the speakers are qualified.
Wonderful. And I would like to thank each speaker who has participated in table topics. And back to you, Toastmaster of the day. So are we going to have the voting now or towards the end?
Now, I will just float the poll and we can continue.
Okay, so handovering the control to Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, DTM Ajay. Your way of making questions and having chits with you with pins on them was definitely a unique idea. I will definitely follow that in my club, by the way. Thank you. So for Toastmasters, as we are running short of time and we are now heading towards our next session, for that, I would like to call our general evaluator for today's meeting, who is the president of our club as well. With a huge round of applause, please help me welcome DTM Saif Ali Sheikh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guest. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, as per your place where you are now. Let's move directly to the reports. And may I request Toastmaster Rahma to please present your report.
Sure, Toastmaster Saif. So today we had some usage which was really good and usage which we can improve upon. So I will start with areas of improvement. We had some verb usage which was either missing or was used incorrectly. So we had a sentence which went like, would you please allow me being a co-host? Which should have been phrased as, would you please allow me to be a co-host? Then we had some missing verbs in named as code.org should have the verb it is code.org. And then I thoroughly involved in your speech. I was thoroughly involved in your speech. Some word usage that I think we can work upon, words like, and I do this as well. I say, oh, this was amazing. Oh, this was great. But the thing is that good, great, amazing are words that we hear so often that it doesn't really add to the depth of what we want to say. So if we really want to communicate exactly what we want to say, maybe we could come up with synonyms. So let's say, people did use actually good usage. So they said imploded on itself, which is quite a sophisticated way of putting things. And then using words like disoriented, kept plodding, solace. Those are really ways of communicating the exact emotion and the exact feeling. Then we also had a native language usage, which is very normal because we're bilingual, multilingual, trilingual speakers. And so someone used bilkul, which is an Urdu word, and in an international club, and even in a Pakistani club which uses English, we want to translate that and avoid using that completely. Then I want to point out how many times we use the word geek in its many forms, which to me was amazing because I think this meeting encapsulates the word geek. So someone said something very geeky, and then someone used the word I geek over the pause, which I found to be an amazing use of the word. And yet again, I use the word amazing. So good phrases. Okay, so sad shape, an amazing way to put it. And now I'm going to keep noticing the number of times I use amazing. Stretch goals was a wonderful terminology, and then we used it throughout the meeting. And then DTM Talha switched it up and he said remotely stretch goals, which was an even more fun way of putting it. Then we had usage of an idiom, cried my heart out, which was really artful. And someone used the word half a thing, which is quite humorous. We also had the use of repetition. So 4 times saying very, 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 but then it was said in such a manner that it didn't become really boring. That was great. Now, there are 2 things that I am unsure about, and I feel that every one of us should make up our mind and can give their opinions. One of them was someone said, believe you me. And then I searched it up and I said, it doesn't sound grammatically correct, but according to the internet, it was used in Old English and people were divided about it. And the second usage was last but nowhere the least, which I found really nice, but the usage is traditionally last but not the least. So over to you, Toastmasters Saif.
Thank you very much, Toastmasters Rahma. Let's move to our counters. DTM Talha bin Hamid.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator, sir. My report will classify the R's and Ums according to the classifications, that is so, and. then repetition stumbles, and others, if I found any other word. So as in the presidential address, DTM Saif just used once. TMOD, Toastmaster Samadi, you use thrice, once, and 6 times, and repetition / stumbles twice, and others once during your entire session of TMOD. Language evaluator, during the introduction of your role, you use twice and once. Timer, you during introduction use once, so once, and repetition once. Keynote speaker, DTM Cynthia, during your entire 20 minutes of speech, you just use one so, and twice repetition stumbles, and that was also because I mistakenly muted you. Geek of the week, use so twice, repetition once. Repetition thrice, and others once. Speaker 1, Toastmaster Umar Hussain. You use once, thrice, so twice, and repetition once. But during your speech, remarkably, you did not use any filler words. These filler words were used during your response to the evaluations. So absolutely fantastic job. DTM Sudarshan, 0 filler words as the lead evaluator. Round robin evaluator, Toastmaster Rama, 6 hours, 1 arms. Toastmaster Khurram, 2 hours, 1 arm and 3 ers. Toastmaster Imran, 3 ers. Toastmaster Usama, 1 arm, 4 ers and 2 so's. Toastmaster Mubina, during your main speech, absolutely no filler words. Lead evaluator, unsurprisingly no filler words. DTM Sudarshan, no filler words. Toastmaster Imran, 1 ah. Myself, I used 1 ah and 2 ums during my 1 minute of recommendations. DTM GK Ajay, 1 ah and 1 um. During the table topics session, table topics master used 4 times, 3 times, so 2 times, so once, and once. Toastmaster Usama, your table topic speech, you use 3 times 2 times and 1 time so, and 1 time and. Toastmaster Rahma, you used twice, once, and others once. And Toastmaster Muiz, you used twice once and 1 so. Language evaluator, during your report, Toastmaster Rahma, once again, you used thrice, 5 times, 2 times and 5 times so. Over to you, journal evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster DTM Tarabin Hamid. And I will take the Meher report from the last week. How many you used during the meeting? I think she was the right to give the report about your and arms. Fellow Toastmasters, let me quickly wrap up my general evaluation report. It was a great meeting. We start on time. But in between, we lost our timing track. And instead of table topics, it should have to be started 2025. And we started at 2035, which means 10 minutes or lost somewhere in between. So we have to do more carefully, plan our meeting, that we should not have to do it again in the next meeting. Another observation is that if any lead evaluators or any others, if lead evaluators is not calling for commendations and the recommendation, I think it is appropriate that general evaluator should be asked to proceed as an evaluator session. Overall, I really enjoy being a general evaluator because it's short of time and I want to close as a president on dot 11. So over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Sheikh, for giving such a great evaluation report in a very precise and short time. Well, fellow Toastmasters, how is that possible that in the concluding remarks, we don't talk about our theme of the meeting, hyperinflation? You know, it's a very hot topic nowadays, and especially for the third world countries. Well, I was searching on the internet for the hyperinflation. I came to know When the prices of the goods are increasing by more than 50% a month, it means that the country is moving towards hyperinflation. We have a recent example of Venezuela, when in 2019, the prices of the day-to-day commodities were increasing by 65,000%. Fellow Toastmasters, can you imagine that? 65,000%. Well, the inflation rate, the average inflation rate in the world is between 3 to 4%. And you know, inflation can't be stopped. Inflation will be going on and on and on. You guys have to work on to increase your income. And for increase, so that's why it is said that don't rely only on one source of income. There should be multiple sources of income. Well, due to short of time, we can't talk on that more. I would like to call now the president so that he can have the concluding remarks and we should conclude the meeting. Over to you, DTM Saif Sheikh.
Thank you very much. Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmaster, did you enjoy the meeting today? Absolutely, yes. It's all due to the efforts of VP Education and the Toastmaster of the day. Both work together and make it happen. Again, exemplary meeting that other club must have to be follow about it. Give the big round of applause to both the VP Education and Toastmaster of the day for the successful meeting once again. Well, thank you. Once again, let me ask to cast the vote. It's already done by the big three. Voting is there. May I request the vote counter, Toastmaster Tala bin Ahmed, to please make the announcement of the best speaker, best evaluator, and the best big three.
Thank you so much. Best if speaker goes to Toastmaster Mubina Rauf by virtue of her qualification within time. Congratulations. Although both our speakers were outstanding. Secondly, best lead evaluator goes by the narrowest of margins to DTM Cynthia Stott. And for the best table topic speaker, the crown has been won by DTM Sudarshan. Congratulations. And finally, I request everyone to complete the polling for best pick 3 because the competition is very close. Otherwise, I just wait for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the best big 3 goes to, by a margin of 1 vote, and that's not mine, our table topics master, DTM Ajay. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, fellow Toastmaster. It's a time to conclude, and we really enjoyed this meeting today. And I'm going to conclude it, but please be here. I'm going to request you for the comments. So I officially adjourn this meeting, but unofficially will continue, and I will request my fellow Toastmaster to give some comments.